Have you ever opened an old book and felt like you were stepping into another time? The pages might be yellowed, the cover a little frayed, but what truly hits you is the smell. That unmistakable scent of paper, ink, and age that seems to transport you instantly into a library from your childhood, or perhaps into the memory of your grandparents' home. But here's the strange part. Why does the smell of a book seem to bend time in a way that even photographs or videos can't? Why does one whiff of that scent feel more powerful than looking at an old picture? Today, we're going to uncover how your brain turns molecules into memories, and why old books might just be the closest thing we have to a time machine. To start, let's set the stage. We often think of memory as a kind of video archive in our minds. Something happens, we record it, and later we replay it. But the truth is, memory is nothing like a movie. It's much more fragile, more fluid, and at the same time more powerful. And among all the senses, smell has a strange VIP pass to our memories. You've probably noticed this before. Maybe a certain perfume reminds you of your first crush, or the smell of freshly cut grass instantly puts you back in a childhood summer. For some reason, smells are able to bypass the normal filters of the brain and hook directly into our emotions. And books are a perfect example of that. So what's actually happening inside a book to create that smell? Let's look at the materials. Most paper made in the 19th and 20th centuries contains lignin, a chemical compound found in wood. Over time, lignin breaks down, releasing a range of molecules like vanillin, benzaldehyde, and furfuryl. These chemicals smell familiar because they're also found in everyday things. Vanillin smells a bit like vanilla. Benzaldehyde has the almond-like scent you might recognize from marzipan. Furfuryl carries a bread-like, slightly sweet aroma. Together, along with dozens of other volatile organic compounds, they form what we recognize as the old book smell. It's not magic, it's chemistry. Every whiff is a cocktail of molecules escaping slowly from the pages, like tiny messengers from the past. But chemistry is only half of the story. The real magic happens in your brain. When you smell something, molecules enter your nose and bind to receptors in your olfactory epithelium. These receptors send signals directly to the olfactory bulb, a neural hub just above the nasal cavity. And here's the crucial twist. Unlike signals from vision or hearing, which have to pass through the brain's relay station called the thalamus, smell takes a direct shortcut. It plugs straight into the limbic system, the amygdala and hippocampus, the regions deeply involved in emotion and memory. This is why a smell can trigger a memory faster and more vividly than almost anything else. It's like smell has a backstage pass to your brain's emotional core. Think of it this way. Imagine you're at a concert and most senses, sight, sound, touch, have to line up at the main entrance, pass through security, and then wait to be seated. Smell, on the other hand, sneaks in through the side door and goes straight backstage, directly to the band. That's why the memory feels so immediate, so raw, so real. Smell bypasses the bureaucracy of the brain, and that explains why the smell of books is so powerful. You're not just perceiving molecules, you're activating a neural network that fuses chemistry, memory, and emotion. Maybe when you were younger, you spent hours in a school library, nervous before exams or daydreaming during study breaks. The smell of books became unconsciously tied to that emotional state. Years later, when you encounter the same scent molecules, your brain reactivates that memory with startling clarity. It's not just remembering, it's reliving. Now let's zoom in a little closer. If you could shrink down and follow one of those molecules, you'd see it drifting out of the fibers of paper, carried by the air, entering your nose, and locking into a receptor like a key in a lock. That single receptor is part of a huge system, around 400 types of olfactory receptors in humans. Each one is tuned to a different molecular shape. When a molecule binds, the receptor sends an electrical signal to your brain. One receptor doesn't give you a full smell. It's more like one note in a chord. Dozens of receptors fire together, creating a pattern that your brain interprets as a distinct scent. So the smell of old books is essentially a chord played by hundreds of tiny instruments, all resonating at once inside your neural orchestra. And here's something even more fascinating. Your brain doesn't just store the smell, it stores the entire context in which you experienced it. That's why the scent of an old book can make you remember not just the object itself, but the room, the people, the mood, even the time of year. Psychologists call this the Proust effect, named after writer Marcel Proust, who famously described how the smell of a Madeleine cake dipped in tea unlocked an entire flood of childhood memories. It's as if smell is the master key that doesn't just open one door in the archive of your mind, but an entire wing of it. Now let's connect this to something bigger. Why would our brains evolve this way? Why give smell such a privileged link to memory and emotion? Think about survival. For our ancestors, smell was a vital tool. The smell of smoke could signal fire. The smell of spoiled food could mean danger. The scent of a plant could reveal whether it was safe to eat. Quick emotional associations with smell helped humans and animals make life or death decisions. Over time, this wiring became so deep that even in our modern lives, where the risks are smaller, the same system still kicks in. That's why your brain treats the scent of old paper with the same seriousness as the scent of smoke. It links it instantly to memory and meaning. So when we say that books are like time machines, it's not just poetry. They literally release molecules that trigger the most ancient and powerful parts of your brain, reviving the emotional texture of the past. And that's something a photograph can't do. A picture can show you what something looked like. A video can replay the sound of a moment, but a smell can make you feel it again. It can light up the same neurons that fired the first time you lived it. That's why old books feel like portals, not because of the words inside them, but because of the chemistry of their aging pages and the way your brain is wired to respond. Here's a thought experiment. Imagine two objects, a black and white photograph of your childhood bedroom and an actual book you read there years ago. The photo can show you the bed, the desk, maybe the posters on the wall. But if you hold that book and inhale its scent, it does something different. It doesn't just show you the room, it drops you right back into it. You can almost feel the afternoon light, the mood you had at the time, even the sense of who you were then. That's because smell doesn't just trigger visual recall. It reactivates the emotional and sensory fabric of a memory. And that's why old books are so uniquely powerful. They carry not just words, but molecules that plug directly into your brain's time circuits. Now let's break this down with a simple analogy. Think of your brain like a vast library. Photographs are like catalog cards. They help you find the right shelf, the right book, the right section of your memory. But smells? Smells are like a secret passageway. They don't bother with the catalog. They open a hidden door and lead you directly to the book you didn't even know you wanted to find. That's why the experience feels so sudden, almost like déjà vu. Smell doesn't ask for permission. It throws you into the memory head first. This brings us to a surprising insight. Memories linked to smell are often more emotional, more vivid, and more durable. Studies show that people recall events triggered by scent with greater clarity than those triggered by sight or sound. Scientists think this is because the hippocampus, the brain's memory center, and the amygdala, the emotional hub, are physically close to the olfactory bulb. The connections are tighter, the wiring is denser. It's as if evolution designed smell not just to help us detect the world, but to anchor us to it emotionally. And here's the irony. The very molecules that carry us through time are created by decay. The smell of books comes from the slow breakdown of organic compounds in paper and ink. Lignin fragments into aromatic molecules. Inks release volatile compounds. Even the glues and bindings contribute to the scent. It's like the past is crumbling molecule by molecule, and yet those molecules are the ones that rebuild it in your mind. Something is fading, and in the act of fading, it becomes immortal in memory. That paradox is what makes the smell of books feel so hauntingly beautiful. Let's pause here for a moment of eureka. The next time you walk into an old library and feel that rush of nostalgia, you'll know why. It's not just sentimentality, it's chemistry, physics, and neuroscience working together. The molecules of paper are evaporating into the air. Your receptors are decoding them. Your brain is lighting up with emotional memories. And suddenly you are traveling, not in space, but in time. That's the real reason books can feel alive, even silent on a shelf. But what about the future? Could we actually harness this power? Scientists are experimenting with artificial smells for therapy. Smell-triggered memory cues are being tested to help patients with Alzheimer's disease recall moments from their past. Aromas tied to happy experiences can reduce anxiety and stress. Even in marketing, companies design signature scents to make experiences unforgettable. And you, without even knowing it, probably already use this system. Maybe you keep wearing the same perfume for years because it makes you feel grounded. Or maybe you keep that one book on your shelf, not because you'll reread it, but because its scent is an anchor to who you used to be. So here's the big takeaway. Every old book is both a piece of chemistry and a piece of you. Its pages break down into molecules that slip into your nose, bypass the gates of the brain, and awaken forgotten chapters of your own story. That's why the smell of books feels timeless. It is the physics of matter becoming the psychology of memory. It is paper decaying into the past and your brain reassembling it into the present. And maybe that's why we love them so much. Books are not just carriers of words, they are vessels of time itself. So the next time you step into a secondhand bookstore, take a deep breath. What you're smelling isn't just old paper. You're smelling the chemistry of history, the breakdown of matter, and the wiring of your own mind coming together to build an invisible bridge through time. That bridge is yours to cross again and again with nothing more than a single breath. And that's how it actually works. If this journey through the science of scent sparked that wow feeling in you, share it with someone who loves books as much as you do. And don't forget to subscribe to How It Actually Works, your personal key to unlocking the hidden mechanics of the world around us, one surprising story at a time.